No one warned you that healing would cost you your identity. The version of you that had held everything together, she's gone. And what's left feels hollow, unsteady. This is identity loss. Quiet, invisible, sacred. In this video, I'll name what this loss actually is and how to meet it without collapsing. You might be wondering why this identity loss feels so strange. It doesn't always look like crisis because it's internal, and yet it is still crisis. You might think that the crisis is over, it's ended, it's behind you. But as far as your identity, it's still in the middle of what's going on, because for your identity loss, that hasn't been resolved at all. And you're grieving who you were, but nobody sees that. They don't see any of that at all. On the outside, you still appear to be you because you're wearing those masks that you wore before, doing your best to keep up the pretense of, I'm fine, I'm still me, everything's great, everything's wonderful, all of this is behind me. But that's not true. There are some common signs that you're in identity collapse, like flatness, restlessness, isolation, loss of joy. You might find that you're disconnecting from some of your familiar routines. You might even realize that your values are shifting. Even preferences might be that now you're craving chocolate, where before you hardly ever touched it. Or you might switch from drinking coffee every single day to wanting a cup of tea. Those are preference things that are very ordinary, but they're signals that you're in identity collapse. There are also personality signals that are preferences, and that is something that is distinctly you. So I can't tell you what those will look like, but the same thing, things that you used to prefer, and now you're feeling a little different about. But this isn't emptiness. It's space for truth. So what maybe feels like emptiness is actually the absence of performance. It's you letting down your guard. Even though you're still wearing the masks, there's something internally that's saying, I just don't want to do this anymore. And so a lot of the performing that you used to do, a lot of the things that you felt like you had to be, you're like, I'm not feeling it. So you're letting go of that level of performance. Maybe you're still wearing the masks, you're still performing, but little bits of your truth are bleeding into it. They're showing up. And so it feels odd to you. It feels weird because you're no longer being who you were taught to be. And that facade is crumbling. And as those pieces break off, little pieces of what's underneath, the true you that is emerging is coming to life. It's rising up. And that's the truth of who you are. who you're becoming, who you're reconnecting with. I know we say becoming, but it's a reconnection, a realignment with the truth of who you are. Outwardly, it looks like becoming, but that's not really that great of a term for it. And it's important that you hold this loss with compassion. There are rituals of release and remembrance that you can do. So you may notice when these things are happening where there's shifts. And when something shifts, or when you find yourself doing something in a new way, you can stop for a minute and go, okay, I used to do it this way, or I used to feel this way. How do I feel about this new thing? And listen for a minute to see if you hear a response from your inner voice, or how does it feel in your body? You can also do things like looking at old photos and having that be a ritual of remembrance and release. And you can look at things and go, wow, I know her. I know what she was feeling behind what was on her face. And I know that woman doesn't live inside me anymore. And while I appreciate who she was, and I loved who she was, and she served me well for all these years, I'm allowing that persona to drop away so that I can discover more of a true self that I want to be at this moment in my life. Okay? And you can let your identity reform from this truth, not out of trauma. Don't allow the life quake to take charge of who you are from this point forward. Obviously, what you've been through informs what happens and informs who you are moving into from this point forward, because you learned life lessons in that experience, and now those are integrating into who you are. So let that happen. Allow it to happen. Like I said in the last video, don't be in too big of a hurry to put all the pieces back together. Let things form in their own time. This is not a race. It's not a contest. It's not somebody or something that has to be completed on a timeline. Everyone is different. You get to decide what feels right, what timing feels right, when you're ready to move forward on each individual piece as it shows up. Click like if this gave you language for what you've been feeling. And next we'll talk about the in-between season, the threshold that holds the version of you that's rising.